Support everything we do at MWP News by visiting ko-fi.com/MWP News. Every donation helps us stay independent. For breaking entertainment news, reviews, and more, check out MWPnews.com. If you love games, head over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@MWPNewsGaming for reviews and gameplay. Links for all of this will be in the show notes, as well as links to the other podcasts. Thank you for your continued support. Good evening and welcome to Exploring Hyperspace Lanes. I am Adam, and it has been quite a while since we've done an episode. I was going to do this sooner, but I've had a few things come up, and here we are. So, we're back for a new episode. Hopefully I can get Josie back on soon, because I haven't had her on in quite some time, because she's been very busy lately. Hopefully that will end sooner rather than later. Point in all of this is we're here today to talk about Star Wars Visions. And I think that, my issue with this is that we're in the same place we were kind of in the last few times we talked about Star Wars Visions. Back when they did Volume 1 and back when they did Volume 2. And it is that Star Wars Visions is very good, very interesting, and it's just this cool thing where you get to let, other studios try out cool things with your IP. And I think that that's kind of something that is worth exploring as a prolonged thing that Disney can do on Disney Plus with these varying IPs they have access to. I think one of the things that is kind of harming Disney Plus going forward, as we get into this new lull period where we really don't know what they're doing. We don't know what's going on with anything. Next year is the first year since Disney Plus launched that there's not a new Star Wars show on the platform. There's no original. We're gonna have a new season of Ahsoka, and there's the new Maul show, but there isn't a new IP live action show on Disney Plus next year for the first time since it launched from Star Wars. And the question is, what do we do to create value? And as we get through as these shows continue and as we move through, it's people are starting to create an expectation, what should we get? And I think that what Visions kind of shows us, and I think to an extent Tales of the Underworld, Tales of the Empire, Tales of the Jedi, what these shows have kind of shown us is that we can use this in a more experimental way. I think even to an extent Eyes of Wakanda from Marvel has also shown us this, that we can use these IPs and be experimental, let studios, find their footing, and create cool things with our established IP, elevate both, everyone wins, and it's a little bit cheaper than creating new content and creating new shows and stuff like that. That is fundamentally what I think this show kind of shows at this point. This should be the way forward for them. Because let's be honest, I don't think it's sustainable to have $250 million to $500, $600 million shows on a platform. I have forever been skeptical about how that math adds up. That math doesn't make sense to me, especially with how little per month these things cost. I don't understand how continually making these things that cost this much money is a good business investment, especially when we these shows were coming out at the same time as the Arrowverse on the CW. And look, those shows had really spotty effects, and I'm being really nice in calling them spotty. The effects did not look great a lot of the time on a lot of these shows. And the issue with it is that it's can we hold that standard on Disney Plus? And it's there's no way The Flash cost nearly as much for 26 episodes as Andor did over the course of its 24. And the 24 was over 2 years, not over, not one season. There's no way it cost the same. It's just one of those things where it's why was this not, why did you put this much money into this? I don't think you necessarily needed to put this much money into this. And I think that, you know, if you go smaller, if you do animated, if you do stuff like that, you will have an audience. And I think that that's kind of what needs to happen more. Disney, in their creation of Disney Plus, was looking to get the entire audience all at once. And it's like, we want to get everyone in. The entire world is our audience. And it's like, I don't think that's necessarily what you need to do, because inherently, a platform just for Disney content and Disney affiliated content is going to be niche. It's going to be Disney fans or Star Wars fans or Marvel fans or people who like National Geographic or people who, I mean, it's not in there, but like, you know, ESPN. That is inherently what you have. You're better to lean into that, create good content and create good shows and movies and all of these things within those. Let someone else take a stab at telling stories in these universes. I'm not saying do live action remakes. I'm saying, like, let other people and, like, explore these worlds, flesh them out, do more in them. Like, that's what this, you know, that would have been a smarter move for them for Disney Plus. And now you're in this giant hole, and it's like, now if we don't have new Marvel shows coming out as often as they used to, you're going to think the platform is failing. Or if we don't have a new Star Wars show every year, is the platform collapsing? And it's like, to an extent, it's like, yeah, they sunk too much money into it and created an unrealistic expectation for what this platform should be. And that was a mistake. So the question is, what do you do now? Now you make it niche, which is what you should have done from the beginning. And been like, look, we know the Star Wars fans are here. We know the Star Wars fans will like this. You lean into that. And I'm saying, like, actual fans, not people who piss and moan online about a woman being in the movie. Like, what you do is you're like, we get people who have a story they want to tell, and we give them the means to tell that story. And historically, in be it the entertainment industry, be it, you know, any facet of it, be it, you know, books, movies, television, when someone has a story they want to tell and they have the freedom to tell that story, that's how you get the best product. And it's not 100% the case. There have been times where that doesn't work, but you give them a long leash and you let them tell the story they want, and you end up with something better than, you know, this is what we need you to tell and what we think people will like, and we're going to focus group it to hell and all of that. At its core, what this show is what's it called? What the show ends up being is a celebration of this nearly 50-year franchise in a way that, you know, that honors it, respects it, and allows it to find potentially a new audience. And that's something that, you know, is invaluable to this platform. And that's the kind of thing that, like, might get someone subscribed. Like, you have to see this. Because, like, there have been times where it's like, I've told people, like, you have to watch this. And it's like, and it's been, like, Star Wars stuff. Be it the ending of the Clone Wars, where it's like, you don't have to watch anything else from the Clone Wars. Just tune into the Clone Wars, watch the last 4 episodes of the last season. It takes place simultaneously with Revenge of the Sith. There are music cues to tell you where you are in Revenge of the Sith along the way, and the whole thing. There's a scene where Maul goes down a hallway full, and like, Maul and Ahsoka are on a Republic command ship full of clones when Order 66 is issued. Like, and it's like sold, and then like things like that, like. Even like Tales of the Jedi, the one where Ahsoka is being trained by Anakin with the clones. Like, hands down, one of the best episodes of that show, where it's just them just, you know, you have to do better. All right, you lasted 5 minutes, you lasted 10 minutes, and it's just like you can't train against droids. The droids are going to do the same thing all the time. You need to be ready for anything. So we're going to train with the clones. So we're going to do whatever it is that they feel is necessary in this exercise. And it's just, you know, it just gets longer and longer and longer and longer. And then it's like you get to the end and it's like, great, you know, great work. And then it's as they're getting ready to go in to the hangar and it's like, are you ready? It's like, I've been training for this. Like, that whole thing is just so well done. It's fantastic. And have I had my misgivings about some of the things they've done? Of course. I would have wished that we've spent more time in the fuck me with this fucking train. I would have liked to have spent more time in, what's it called? In the sequel era. I would have liked to have seen more stuff kind of exploring out other characters that aren't the creations of Dave Filoni or just things around the original trilogy. All of those things would have been nice, but everyone has a different entry point to Star Wars. Most people, it's going to be the movies, but everyone jumped into the movies at a different point. And similarly, there are going to be people who jumped in with the Clone Wars, who were introduced to Star Wars from the cartoon on Cartoon Network or on Disney Plus or on Disney XD with Rebels. And if that's the case, and if everyone's kind of jumping in a different place, like, why not create more on-ramps? The more on-ramps you create, the better. And that's something that would be that why this show works for me, is it's a new on-ramp. And that's what Disney Plus should be. Let's flesh out things. Let's create new fans, and let's create something where it's like, hey, generate positive word of mouth. Hey, I know you liked, I don't know, Hercules. Hey, I know you liked, Lilo and Stitch. Here's something new in that world that's going to be different and unique, and it's going to let you do something cool. And you're going to get to, and it's gonna create a new fan. Someone else is gonna come in and watch it now. That's the move. That's the move. And I think that they need to kind of like solidify that place in the zeitgeist with Disney Plus. The idea, like, we've talked about, part of what's been harming these companies lately is this idea of infinite growth. The idea that, like, especially for Disney, every year's got to be 2019. But 2019 for Disney was such a anomaly because, like, let's break down, like, 2019 was a fantastic year for Disney. It was probably the best year for any studio ever at the box office because they just had hit after hit after hit after hit. They had Endgame, which set the record all time at the box office when it came out. You had the joint production with Sony for Far From Home, which did over $1 billion. You had Toy Story 4, which did over $1 billion. Aladdin was 2019, and while it did, I don't think it broke $1 billion, but it came pretty damn close. The Lion King, did over $1 billion. I think Frozen 2 did almost $2 billion, or at least $1 billion. Captain Marvel broke $1 billion. Like, that was a year that Disney cannot be expected to replicate every single time. And I think to an extent what we're looking at now with what Disney's doing and, like, looking at what's happened earlier this year, this idea that, like, Fantastic Four was marketed, was focus group to death and spent years in development and was just this lengthy process. And all of that came from the fact that we need to make this work. And that's the thing, is that everything needs to be perfect now. It doesn't need to be perfect. Not a single thing I mentioned there was perfect. But they all had something. There was always something in there. And that's what it is. And you can't throw money at this problem. You have to create something good. You need to find someone who has a story to tell and let them tell the story. And that's why Star Wars Visions is the success it is every time it comes out. But we'll wrap up there for today. And until our next episode, have a great rest of your week.